No, seriously, this YouTube thing's a cash cow. I mean, these suckers keep watching, and I just keep raking in the cash. Is that thing on? What's that record? Hello, friends. Welcome back to the show. So glad to see you once again. And if you're new here, thank you for stopping by. This might be the show that you're looking for if you're like me and grew up on cartoons in the 90s and want an excuse to watch them now. And right now we're working through a series of Superman, the animated series. So if this sounds like something you might be interested in, then hop below and hit subscribe. Click the thumbs up like button while you're down there, because today we're talking about the episode Heavy Metal, which originally aired on November 8th, 1997.
You ready to go out and whoop some bad guys now?
Well, it was just a couple episodes back on Prototype when they first introduced John Henry Irons, who would eventually become Steel, and I mentioned that I wasn't sure if he came in the rest of the series. Well, he does, and this is the episode. Heavy Metal introduces Steel into the Superman universe, but we'll talk all about that right after our 60-second Brainiac Bomb rundown of the episode. I'm going to give you a synopsis of the episode in 60 seconds or less. Not a chance, but I'm going to try before this bomb goes off. We see John Henry Irons working on his steel suit with his daughter, and he goes out and he tests out the laser beam, and it seems to be working pretty good. And then meanwhile, we have Intergang, some masked men, robbing some places, and one of them is really strong. And John Henry Irons sees this and goes, oh, I got to do something about it. And he jumps out there with his laser gun, starts shooting them. It malfunctions. He dies behind a dumpster to try to fix it. Superman luckily comes in before they shoot him, and one of them is really strong, and it turns out it's Metallo. He takes off his mask, and now he can shoot kryptonite rays out of his chest. And as he's doing that, then he disables Superman, and John Henry Irons and his daughter get a van, and they drive away to his other lab. And Superman is trying to recover, and Metallo steals a police car and is chasing after them. And they finally get Superman to this place, and they beam this yellow sunlight down on him to try to get him to heal. And Metallo and the gang show up, and they're trying to break in. So John Henry Irons dons the steel outfit and goes out and fights him, but it's stronger than he thought. And by that time, Superman starts to regain some of his strength, and he's trying to hit him from a distance so he doesn't get the kryptonite. And just as he's about ready to get attacked, John Henry Irons Steel throws his hammer into his chest and breaks him down. And Superman and Steel agree that it's a good thing to have a partner.
Got to do more testing, Nate. Lots more.
So we do get to see John Henry Irons become Steel. It didn't take him long. Prototype was just, 2 episodes ago? And now we are bringing him back, which is cool. I knew that he appeared in a couple episodes of Justice League, if I'm remembering that correctly. But I wasn't sure if he was in the animated series, and here he is. And this episode really ties into the continuity of the Superman storylines. And there's several references to other episodes throughout this, including Prototype, that Superman and Steel both reference the conversations that they had in Prototype.
You said if someone could get it to work, you'd be glad to have the help.
John Irons Henry. Have I been saying John Henry Irons? I think so. Oops.
Guess you really do know him, Uncle John.
One of those references that they make is Bibbo. It's always fun seeing Bibbo jump into these stories. I don't know why. He's just such a kind of a fun, cool character. But he references Monkey Fun of all episodes. If you don't remember that episode, you can watch it up here. Yeah, pretty forgettable episode. But they don't want you to forget about it because Bibbo mentions it in this episode.
I remember one time we was fighting this big monkey.
Also, I don't know why they make Angela Chen seem so dumb. Why is she not knowing that the camera's on? And I don't know. I don't think she's depicted that way in any of the other episodes, but this one, I don't know if they're just playing off the comedy moment with Bibbo. It's just not, I don't know. It just felt a little out of character for her.
This is non-fat decaf, right? I don't want to be up half the night again.
Angela, you're on.
And of course, when you have Malcolm McDowell voicing Metallo, it's a little bit of a giveaway when you first hear his voice coming through the mask that you go, oh, it's obviously going to be Metallo behind that mask.
Time to throw in the old towel.
But that aside, I said it before when we were talking about Metallo in the past, but what a tremendous voice actor, and a tremendous actor and voice actor. It's sort of unbelievable that they got him for this show for as many episodes that they did, but Metallo appears quite a bit.
In the flesh.
Something I don't understand in this episode is that Metallo has his partial face back. When we last saw him in action figures, he was completely metal and was stranded in the rock that the hardened lava, molten lava that Superman left him in. And they reference that several times. It's not like they're trying to ignore that episode happened.
My new friends from Intergang found me right where you left me.
But how did he get partial face back? It'd be one thing if he had all new skin and then it gets ripped again throughout the course of the episode, but why would they put part of his face on and not the rest? Now, don't get me wrong. I love this design, and I think I mentioned it in action figures that I like the look of the partial face and the robotic elements showing through underneath. I like that design, but I just don't know why he would have got part of his face back and not the rest of it, or if there's some story where they did give him the rest of his skin and then it got ripped and now he's back to where he was. I don't know. That part didn't make much sense to me. I like it, but it just didn't make sense to me.
Dug me out and fixed me up as good as new.
Also, another little nitpicky thing, when Superman is up on the rooftop throwing the fans out of the air conditioner at Metallo to keep his distance, coming from a long line of heating and air conditioning technicians, my dad has worked in that field as long as I've known him. My brother did it. My cousin did it. I even did it for a few summers. I happen to know there's only one fan in a air conditioning unit. It's a big fan, and certainly I think it could do some damage, but there's only one. Maybe there's some little ones in there, little gears or something, but not like what Superman was pulling out of there. Now, something I do really enjoy about this episode is that pretty much the whole story takes place in real time. It starts with Steel making his suit, and everything kind of plays out generally in real time. I think they compress it a little bit, but it isn't like it takes place over days or weeks, and we really don't see we don't see Lois Lane, we don't see Superman as Clark Kent. It's just this isolated little story that's happening in the middle of the city. And I kind of dig that. I really sort of like that. That's kind of a neat, I don't know if that was a deliberate choice or that's just what worked with this episode, but we get to see all these events kind of roll out and it seems to make sense. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of coincidence involved that Steel was working on his suit just as Intergang attacks and things like that, but it works. I kind of like that style in this.
Tell Grandma we're going to be late for dinner.
And when we do finally get to see Steel and we have a great reveal shot of him, I like that design. We've seen a lot of different variations of Steel in the comics and animated movies and things like that, live action movies for that matter. But I really like this design, the Bruce Timm kind of animated series world. It works. It's very streamlined. Now, of course, we don't have the Superman shield on it yet, but it's sleek and smooth, and I like it. It's pretty cool.
Well, what have we here?
Call me Steel.
And I think it makes sense in this episode, and I've talked about this before, how we need to have stories that support what they're trying to establish. This episode obviously is designed to establish Steel into the Superman universe for the animated series. And they chose Magneto. They chose Metallo for the villain to face off against Steel. Steel, Metallo. I think that's a great pairing and it makes sense. So we got to move the Metallo story forward and we got to introduce Steel, and they're a great matchup. And this is a great way of Superman needing the help of somebody else because he has kryptonite and he has to keep his distance so he can't put him down. And they don't use the kryptonite suit, which is great. I like that. And so it's a great pair up. And so this is a great example of why with a little bit of effort, you can match the right villain for the right story. And this is a perfect example of that.
May the best ally win.
Truth be told, towards the end, the last part of the episode is a big battle, but we've built enough of a story up until that point that you know why they're battling, you know why they're struggling, you know that Superman's weakened and Steel, this is his first venture out, and so they're going head to head together. So there is a little bit of that just prolonged action sequence in there, which I'm not always a big fan of. But for whatever reason, this really, I think, because the story supported it and we build up to this moment, it worked for me. And it was an engaging, entertaining fight that we got to see between Steel and Metallo and Superman in parts.
Don't think I'm going to be as easy as my men. Steel.
And I do like the conversation that Superman has at the end, that they form this partnership, and Superman is interested in accepting help. He is the right kind of help, not the prototype help that he wanted, but willing to accept help from the right person. And I think John Henry Iron, now I don't know what it is the right person and is the hero-minded person that can help. I'm not crazy about Superman kind of condoning vigilantism, but that aside, it's a neat moment that they have together at the end.
You're going to be getting this a lot, so you might as well hear it from me first.
What?
Thanks.
So when it comes time to rank this episode, it's an enjoyable episode. It was great fun to watch. It was a neat story. I like that it was told through a kind of a real-time scenario. And I like that we introduced Steel, another character, blending into the Superman world. I don't know if there was anything really stand out about it that really pushes it up to the top of the list, but it's a good, fun episode. So for those reasons, it falls sort of in the middle at the number 14 spot of my favorite episode so far. It's just below Double Dose because I think that dynamic between Livewire and Parasite is fun and interesting and just added a nice tone and flavor to that episode versus this one. But this does beat out Father's Day, which is another episode that's just kind of a big battle. But this one has a lot more story interwoven into the battle scenario.
But I can take anything you can throw at me.
So now that we've met Steel in this episode, let me know, what is your favorite Steel story? Is it the Shaquille O'Neal movie? Is it an episode of the animated stories? Is it is it in the comics? What is your favorite story featuring Steel? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this episode, please click the like button. If you want to see more episodes like this, all you have to do is hit subscribe. I have new episodes coming out every Tuesday and Thursday. And next up, we have the episode Warrior Queen. So you don't want to miss that. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'm Andy Knode, and I'll see you soon.